Hello everybody and a very warm welcome to Formula Fun Sim Racing, and we are here for round 12 at the British Grand Prix. It's going to be 13 laps of racing as qualifying is done and we are ready to get started. As it's Flyscott on pole today, his first pole of the season with Zenzoku in P2. The man is going still strong with Scrubbins in P3, then Spliff in P4. Another good qualifying. Would be nice to see whether if he's able to convert that into a finishing position as well. Then it's Fitty in P5 with High B being the last driver and being in P6. And then it's the rest of the AI drivers, but our drivers are inside the top 6 and we will definitely see if how good as these guys are going to be able to get a start off. And before we get started, it's once again here to call out the bug on F1 24 replay systems. Basically, we have the race live, but not the broadcast. Basically, the systems that we are watching at the race from. So it rained again. Previously in Canada, I believe it was, there was no rain, but showed rain on track. And this time around, I think there comes rain around some part of the race, but it doesn't show out on track. So as soon as we see drivers pitting out for the rain tires, that's definitely going to be time for some rain pouring out on track. And before we get underway, let's have a look at the Drivers' Championship. Zenzoku still going strong, leading up with the 246 points to their name. 4 pole positions and all many victories overall. And it's 175 points to Scrubbins. Then it's Flyscott with 161 in third place. That fight between Scrubbins and Flyscott is still going strong. And Flyscott has got pole position today. His first of the season. This is about to be very interesting. Then it's AI with 123 points, just ahead of High B, who's with 119 points to their name. With Fitty, 71 points, to 2 podiums, equal to High B's 2 podiums in this season as well. Then Spliff with 32 points to their name, the only driver who hasn't been on the podium this season. And let's get underway for the British Grand Prix here at Silverstone as we're waiting for 5 lights to go out and we go racing here. The British Grand Prix, the lights weren't held for too long. It's going to be a good start for Zen along with Flyscott as well. No, it's not a good start for Zen at all, as we were just about to say that Zen has a huge slide and loses the car there, and it's going to slide back to the back, almost into P5 there. Going to lose out massive positions, and what a start by Spliff, and Flyscott's going to go wide. Flyscott's going to go wide there into turn 2. That was very close there, and that is a very good start for our pole sitter Flyscott. He got good into turn 1, but then on the exit there, he lost it out. Almost went pretty wide. Spliff's got a very good start already in P2, along with Fitty, who's in P3 as well. Hybe still stays in P6, and that's going to be going very wide going Spliff there, and that's going to push Scrubbins wide again. And Scrubbins, he was on the front row once. He's on to P5. He's dropped out massively there. Meanwhile, our race leader is going strong. It's going to be side-by-side action between Spliff and Scrubbins as they head into Copse. They're going to be side-by-side. That is still going to be action between the two, and they still keep it on there. This is going to be again action between the two. Zen and Scrubbins are still going strong. This is looking pretty strong between the two as they go side-by-side, and once again, we see these guys move around as they just are on the straight after Meckets and Beckets, and into Stowe they go. And it's going to be very close, and I was saying that actually might have not been Spliff. That is Fitty then at the moment I see in P2, so we might have been calling wrong cars because the 2 white cars are Spliff and Scrubbins, and that in between that black car that's not fully black, but that is Fitty's car. We know that much out on. Meanwhile, our race leader Flyscott is already in the race lead by 2.6 seconds. Meanwhile, Fitty in P2 with over 7/10 the gap, and then comes Zen in P3. He's recovered well after a horrible start there for him, with Spliff in P4 and Scrubbins in P5. Our race leaders making their way over entry into the straight before Brooklands as they're going to head over this DRS straight. Of course, they won't have DRS as there won't be no car ahead of them. But Zen will have DRS against Fitty. Is he going to try something kind of a move into Brooklands? No, they don't, as they are still choosing to stay behind. Meanwhile, Fitty's going to go very wide and he's going to let them through there. He's going to rejoin pretty aggressively. Lucky there was no car right behind. Otherwise, it could have ended up horribly wrong. But Zen's through into P2 already. Meanwhile, Fitty's going to come back at him. They're still going to be side by side as into Copse they go, but Zen is just going to be ahead, and Fitty's going to have to back out there because that could have ended up horribly wrong as they go now make their way into Meckets and Beckets. It's going to be Scrubbins, Spliff right behind Fitty there, but they're still going to try and stay behind and not make any move. That's going to be pretty wrong, for both of them as we're only on lap 2, and now everybody else behind is going to be getting that DRS. Meanwhile, there's two white cars at the back going side by side, and it's going to be Scrubbins round the outside of Spliff there and make a move done. Scrubbins, remember, started on the front in P3, I think, just right behind Zen and Scrubbins, but that was Zen and Fly Scott there. Fly Scott in the lead at the moment, continues on. Footy's right behind Zen as well as they go around the final corner now, and into turn one they're going to head. Zen is still going to be ahead and leading up the pack of cars here, with the right behind Footy, with that behind him. As we're talking about Footy currently being second last in the championship, he's going to go down the inside line, but he's going to have a slide. He's going to have a huge slide spin there, and that's going to be Zen, I think, bumping to the back as well, and Spliff's going to be having a spin there at the back as well. I wonder if anything such as a safety car or a virtual safety car could come around here, but I don't think so. That was a spin from Footy, and that caused it for Spliff right behind to lose his car as well. Both of them are going to fall back into P5 and 6. That is at least going to allow High B to move forward finally in this race into P4. Also, remember High B changed their livery to a reddish, to a red and white combination, but it looks like they might be back to their smiley face green livery, which they started the season with. I don't know if it has those smiley faces or not, but it sure has those green color, which is an interesting one. And we're now watching Footy at this moment in time go round the track. It is his car. He was fighting for P2, and for the most of the time he was going side by side with Zen. Made a mistake, and which got both of them back. Meanwhile, Scrubbins at the top has overtaken and has went into P2. That is a very good, interesting one from him as well, because Scrubbins now looking to get back to the top. For a moment, Zen recovered back, but then Scrubbins has attacked Asgard and has overtaken him as well, as we are currently on lap 4 out of 12, out of 13. It's going to be a question of whether the track gets wet enough for these drivers to change to intermediates or full wets. I don't think so if it falls really late, but this time around Zen might have find a way ahead of Scrubbins into Brooklands, but no, he's not going to be doing that, as they were just making their way. On the exit of the field into Woodcut they go. Now on the main start-finish straight. The old start-finish straight, as I shall say, as they were about to make their way into Cobbs. Earlier we didn't see cars go side by side around there. We still don't see cars go side by side into Cobbs. We know what happens when cars go side by side around into Cobbs, but I'm sure these guys remember that at least, if not during the race, before or after, and don't want to be making that move. We now go into another DRS straight one more time. Zen's going to have the opportunity to come back at Scrubbins. At this point, our race leader is 5.3 seconds, and round the outside it's going to be Zen, round the outside into Store. It is going to be Scrubbins losing out that position, and Zen is back into the top 2. Just around the final few corners they come. They're about to come to the end of lap 4 now, so this is about to be interesting as the battle for second place is still going on. Meanwhile, our leader is over 5.34 seconds ahead, but these two are going to be very strong into each other. Into turn 1 they go still. Zen stays ahead. Zen continues his second place to himself so far, but there won't be too long ago but too long, and Scrubbins going to go on the hits. He tried to be right behind Zen, and he might have went into the back of the car ahead as he loses the rear and spins around. So lap 5 out of 13 so far. The track still is dry. The drivers have not pitted yet for any tires. Some on soft and some on those medium tires. The race start, of course, as we are watching High B just behind Scrubbins at this point. High B currently running in P4. He ran right behind these guys in P6 most at the start, but then those mistakes from Footy and Spliff allowed High B to move forward into P4, and he now is still running in P4, but Shaw is only with a 7/10 behind Scrubbins, who's at the moment pretty going decent at this point. I mean, Zen ahead, 3.3 seconds ahead of him. Then Fly Scott in the race lead is over 5.5 seconds ahead. Scrubbins in a pace, into speed. The gap is over 1.4 seconds now, and he's increasing corner after corner, lap after lap. So lap 6 out of 13 still there. Still everybody now pretty much in their own race. So now they have to make decisions, though, because if they know there is some rain coming, they could try and hold on these tires to go a little bit longer, and then only pit out when it's time to pit for the rain, when it's time to be pitting for the rain tires for intermediates or full wet tires. Full wets, of course. I think the 13 lap race, it won't be enough time if the rain comes halfway through, but intermediate tires could be on, but our first driver is already into the pits, and that is he might have done a mistake there. He's went in, has Footy. He thought to go into the pits there, then he's lost out. Not quite sure what happened there, because we thought he was heading into the pit lane, but then he has pulled out halfway through. That was almost like Germany 2018. Lewis Hamilton's in, and stay out. Calls from Bono at the German Grand Prix 2018 or 2019 that was. I don't exactly remember, but I sure can remember that, as Footy's now going to go even more wider, and that is going to be allow the EI drivers to come behind him, and he's even in some more trouble now, falling back and tumbling down the field, because look at that, after a simple mistake and a miscommunication almost between him and the team, as he came into the pit lane and halfway pulled out. Maybe as we were talking about that, who comes right now and who comes when the rain comes in, because you could be like, okay, you're not 13 lap race, but maybe stay a lap or two longer, so you could only pit in for the intermediate tires, unlike having to pit twice in this race, which is going to lose you hell a lot of time. So that's obviously not going to be going the way you want. Nobody has yet pitted, at least nobody that we know of, so lap 7 out of 13 and move into lap 8. So either anybody that wants to pits now, or still waits for a little bit longer. Even the soft tire runners have still kept going strong so far, haven't decided to pit, and that definitely tells you there is something in the sky that is about to fall. Meanwhile, our leader still going strong. The gap still stays over 5 seconds. It's about 4.9 now as we say that, but it goes back to 5.5 seconds. Has Zen pitted though, because the gap is increasing? Not quite sure, but the gap is in. Yes, there is one driver in the pits now, as Footy's now in. Not quite sure what happened on the previous lap, because he decides to pit this time around, which he didn't on the previous lap. Now, softs are going to be off and mediums are going to be on. So still opting for dry tires, still opting for slick tires. Meanwhile, drivers at the back, there might be High P as well. Not quite sure whether he's in the pits or not. On the exit, we'll find out who's exiting the pit lane. It is Footy, and it might just be some of the AI cars maybe at the back. There's going to be drivers now arriving from behind as well, but Footy now has finally pitted after making a double-minded move on the previous lap, having to pull out midway through pit entry, and now, they almost made contact there, the AI and Footy there on the exit. The AI car was round the outside, and Footy tried to go on the inside, but he couldn't quite do it. But can he do it now, as he's going to go down the inside line? He's going to make that move. Making that move into Luffield, then now into Brooklands. Sorry, making that move into Brooklands, and now over Luffield. Then now comes Zen into the pit lane as well on lap 9 out of 13. What tyres are they opting for? And they're going for intermediates. They have went on for intermediates. Pull the trigger then. So rain started coming, or they are just going for it early. They think that others, having pitted on the slick tire now, would need to come in and pit for the intermediate tire. So they're already pulling the plug on and earlier pitting for this one. Meanwhile, Scrubbins, Fly Scott, High B, and everybody, including Spliff, hasn't yet pitted apart from Zen and Footy. Footy went on to the medium compound tire, but Zen has opted for an interesting, bold strategy choice to go to the intermediate tires. It's either you opt for inters, or you try and finish this race in these final laps on the slick tires to help you go to the end. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of action throughout this race, but it might be about to be started. It might get started very soon now, because as soon as that rain comes, it's going to be very tricky for these drivers to drive on these slick tires, and it could be an interesting pull move. It could pull drivers into the pit lanes, and we will now find out when does our race leader come into the pit lane. Fly Scott 9.4 seconds ahead of Scrubbins, who's in P2, and just now Fly Scott is into the pit lane. What tires are they going to opt for? We get a close-up view of that. softs are going to be off and inters are going to be on, and that surely means that these drivers are ready. They are preparing ready for the rain. Whenever that is out on track, that is going to be an easy task for those on the inter tires, for those who pitted early, for the 2 or 3 any amount of drivers that pit for the slick tires are going to be having to have it hard. Meanwhile, Spliff now loses out to Zen, so probably that means that Spliff might be in the pit lane as well. Meanwhile, Zen currently in P4 at the moment on those intermediate tires. We'll get to know whether the inter tires are working or not, because 6 seconds the gap to High B and Fly Squad at the moment. Is that going to increase or decrease? Because of course those soft tires now would be over 10 laps old as well, so they won't be performing that good, but those inter tires on a dry track would be horrible as well. But no, the gap is 5.5 seconds. That means either the rain has started to pour down on the track, or the soft tires are just running out of grip in High B's car, who's currently running in P2, and I'm sure now anybody who hasn't yet pitted is going to pit for those intermediate tires. And now let's have a look at Footy, the man who's still on these dry tires, and we haven't seen any mistakes from him to either go wide or lose the car. So that also indicates that it isn't heavily pouring, even if it is pouring out on track at this point, which I don't think it is, because he's holding on those slick tires. So the likes of High B and Fly Squad, not High B, but Zen and Fly Squad have just pitted to give them a good chance when the drain does come down, though. Now it is High B going on the intermediate tires as well. So Fitty and Spliff, the only drivers would be on those slick tires, which I don't think they would be on slicks anymore.
Can't believe this. Come on, Rain, for fuck's sake, where are you?
Meanwhile, Footy is right behind Spliff, and we're about to find out whether Spliff has intermediates or slick tires, and looks like he might have intermediates, and at this point, he's struggling on those intermediate tires. They might be a move coming from Fitty into turn 1 they head into, but round the outside is Spliff's just going to find enough confidence and speed to go round the outside of Fitty. So that is also now that is also indicating that it might just be on that way. We'll find out, because when we get an indication of the DRS getting disabled, because if it runs or if it rains too heavily, the DRS does get disabled, but at this point it hasn't gotten disabled yet. We haven't gotten the indication of the DRS getting disabled, but Fitty's now even going to get more closer now, as it's going to be a very good chance. Into wood could they go on the exit. This is going to be one other chance they're going to have. Into Cops around the outside. Fitty's going to go for it. They're still there. It's both of them side by side, but just before Cops, Fitty's going to be ahead and making that move on Spliff, and still keeping that slick tires alive. And I'm sure Fitty now wouldn't be trying to pit at this point. He would just will try and finish this race on those slick tires as good as he can.
Rain started.
Is
it spitting? Is it spitting? Come on, baby. Open up the heavens.
Spliff still won't be enough to make that move, and Spliff's going to have that little slide, and Spliff at the back is going to have a huge spin. Whether that is because of no rain on track and just dry track, proper dry track. But look at that, 1.1 seconds between Fly Squad and Scrubbins. We haven't seen Scrubbins' car yet, but we are yet to see whether they pitted for Intis or for soft tires or any slick tires at this point, because if it still hasn't rained, the slick tires might just be quicker and just only for a lap or two of rain. Let me tell you, slicks would be a better option. We are yet to identify the tires of Scribbins' cars. They're going to go round the outside of Fly Squad, and they're going to be taking that race lead, and Scrubbins is going to snatch that race lead, and that potential race win from Fly Squad on lap 12 out of 13. And even if it starts just raining now, Fly Squad should well be thinking to attack back on Scrubbins, but no, Scrubbins just looks to be very quick, and might be the choice to go on those inter tires. Might not be the best or the better choice, because we haven't had any zoomed in view on Scrubbins' tires, but he might just be on those slicks, because if they are on those same tyres. Either FlyScott has to be terrible in rain, otherwise, of course, that difference is going to be very vital. And I think, sure, from all these views that we have, FlyScott might well be on a different tyre than Scrubbins, and Scrubbins on those slick tyres could well be very quick. And as I said, we're on the final lap now, and our leader is on Scrubbins, winning that on the final lap. Remember, he lost out that victory in Australia. He finished ahead of Zen on track, but because of that penalty, it went all against him. He might be on his way to turn that down. 2.3 seconds, and Scrubbins is massively gaining. So even if it looks like, even if the rain is still pouring out on track, it won't be heavy enough, or the track just would not be wet enough to affect Scrubbins' times and lap times, which would make him any slower for FlyScott. But Zen now in P3, losing out that front row start, on that front row start, still in P3 with High B in P4, with Fitty in P5, and Spliff falling back again in P6. Oh, a little slide there, it felt like, on the exit from FlyScott. He's very carefully having to drive around there, because you know it's hard to drive when you see the drivers taking care of the car, being very careful around corners, around high-speed corners, medium-speed corners. Only then you realize how hard it is, or how hard it must be to drive around there.
Yes, let's go.
Yes, well done. Damn it.
Meanwhile, Scrubbins going to be just making their way around the final few corners and come around the line and win the British Grand Prix here at Silverstone. FlyScott's going to come second best today, not to be his day here at the British GP, with Sen still finding a way on the podium in P3.
Let's go.
Top 3 has finished. The bottom 3 are yet to do that. They've got another bottom 3, but they are the bottom in terms of our drivers, with High B another top 4 finish. Very good finishes from him. I mean, he's only been twice in the podium, but he's been pretty consistent and ahead of Footy and Spliff in the championship. Now, Footy remains to finish in P5. Spliff is in P6, 10 seconds behind, but Footy, after making a few mistakes despite fighting for the top positions at the start of the race, is going to come and finish in P5.
2 laps too late with those tires.
Lucky
I can't
me.
believe it. You took softs the whole way.
That was on accident too. That's so lucky.
And look at that, it was the fastest lap to Scrubbins as well. He took the race win with FlyScott per second best. Then came Zen in P3, High B in P4, along with P5 for Footy. Then came Spliff in P7, then he maybe had a penalty. In fact, he did actually have a penalty, but it was all from us here at Formula Fun Sim Racing. It was myself, Zubby, on the commentary mic once again. Hope you all watching enjoyed the action of racing around Silverstone. See you soon at the very next race at Belgium Grand Prix.